What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Connecticut for Heartland Sports. Today we're going to be viewing the first video in our trade breakdown series. So as you can see, today we will be discussing the Robert Griffin III trade, which happened way back in 2012. So basically what the trade was originally was the Washington Redskins would get the number 2 overall pick in 2012 in exchange for the number 6 and 39 picks in 2012, as well as their first round pick in both 2013 and 2014. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the Redskins with the number 2 overall pick, of course, picked Robert Griffin III, the quarterback. He didn't necessarily pan out for them, but it's more their fault than his. So he started 35 games over 3 seasons for the team. He did spend 4 seasons on the team, but as we know, he got hurt in the preseason of the 4th season, and he didn't play. He ends up getting demoted to 3rd-string quarterback. He just kept getting hurt, and it was the Redskins' fault entirely. They would not really do anything to help him out, and, he got hurt, his knee got hurt, and they rushed him back into playing, so it was completely their fault. So they screwed him over. They ended up cutting him after the 4th season because they had picked up the 5th-year option, but they weren't going to keep him, so they got rid of him. So the trade did not work out for the Redskins. How did it go for the Rams? Well, with the 6th overall pick, which they acquired from the Redskins, they actually wound up trading it to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they traded the 6th overall pick, again, this is 2012 draft, to the Cowboys in exchange for the 14th and 45th picks. So with the 6th overall pick, the Cowboys would select cornerback Morris Claiborne, or as you probably know him by now, Mo Claiborne. So Claiborne, he didn't really pan out for the Cowboys. His 4 seasons in his rookie contract, he really just he kept getting hurt. He played well when he was healthy, but he kept getting hurt. They signed him to a 1-year deal after his rookie contract. He played pretty well, but again, he kind of priced himself out of Dallas. He was going to get more money than they really wanted to spend on him. So all in all, he was a solid pick. Was he worth the 6th overall selection? Probably not. So now we get to the 14th pick, which the Rams own from the Cowboys, and they select defensive end Michael Brockers. So Brockers is a solid defensive end. He's still on the Rams after 8 seasons, so he's solid. He has 23 sacks through his career at this point, along with over 300 tackles. He's not elite, but he's a solid defensive end. With the 39th selection, which they had acquired from the Redskins, the Rams select cornerback Janarius Jenkins. So Jenkins is a solid corner. He had 4 really good seasons in St. Louis for the Rams. After that, though, he ends up cashing out big time. He goes to the New York Giants, gets a big contract from them. He kind of struggled in New York, but that doesn't hurt the Rams here. The Rams got some good value for him, at 39 overall. Now we get to the 45th pick, which the Rams had acquired from the Cowboys, and they would actually trade it away to the Chicago Bears in exchange for the 50th and 150th picks. So with the 45th pick, the Chicago Bears would select wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey. Jeffrey had 5 solid years in Chicago. He ends up developing into a wide receiver 1 by the end of his tenure in Chicago. Of course, he had those PED suspensions, which hurts him. And it happened in Chicago, so that hurts them a little bit. But still, pretty good player. He's definitely the best player that we've discussed so far. No offense to Brockers or Jenkins, but he is the only one with a Super Bowl ring at this point. With the 50th overall pick, which they just acquired from the Bears, the Rams select running back Isaiah Pead. He would only appear in 27 games throughout 4 seasons for the Rams. So nothing amazing. He actually scored 0 touchdowns in those 27 games. So again, nothing amazing, but still okay. With the 150th pick, the Rams would select guard Rakevius Watkins. I knew nothing about him before this. I looked him up. He literally appeared in 1 game as a rookie, got hurt, got put on the IR, and he ends up, getting cut. So, not exactly ideal, but again, what do you expect at 150? So that's the 2012 draft. And now we get to the 2013 draft, where, remember, the Rams acquired the 1st round pick from the Redskins. Now, the Redskins played well in 2012, so they hit the 22nd overall pick. So, with the 22nd overall pick, the Rams would actually trade that pick along with a 2015 7th round pick to the Atlanta Falcons in exchange for picks number 30, 92, and 198. Now, you might see this little star here. The 2015 7th rounder was actually courtesy of the New England Patriots, and with that pick, they had acquired that pick from the Patriots in exchange for wide receiver Greg Salas, who really didn't pan out into much of anything. He was just kind of there. He was like a practice squad player. He gets cut, called up, cut second time they tried to put him on the practice squad, but the Eagles actually claimed him to stop the Patriots from getting him. So after that, we get to the Atlanta Falcons at 22 would select cornerback Desmond Trufant. Trufant was a solid pickup for the team. He basically became cornerback 1 after his rookie year because the team cut Asante Samuel. Asante was old at that point. And Trufant, he had a strong run on the team as a cornerback 1. However, the team decided to part ways with him after the 2019 season due to cap reasons and the team just needing to go a different way. So in exchange for Trufant, the Rams got the 30th overall pick, which they used to select linebacker Alec Ogletree. Now, Ogletree hung around the Rams for a while. He was a starter on that team for 5 seasons, and he was doing pretty good. He survived like 3 or 4 different defensive coordinators during that time, including a switch from the 4-3 to the 3-4. So he ends up getting traded to the New York Giants after the 2017 season in exchange for 2 picks in the 2018 draft. One of those picks is still on the team, the other is not. So kind of an irrelevant trade there. I didn't really want to go into too much detail about those trades. One of those picks that they acquired ended up becoming defensive end John Franklin Myers, who is no longer with the team. The other was running back John Kelly. So John Kelly's not a bad player. The Rams also included a pick in that trade, which was a 2019 7th rounder, in which the Giants selected defensive tackle Chris Slayton, who is still on the team. He's not expected to make the Giants roster, though, nor is Kelly expected to make the Rams roster. So again, at this point, that trade's a complete wash. With the 92nd overall pick, the St. Louis Rams selected wide receiver Stedman Bailey. Now, Stedman Bailey had a solid start to his career. He's more of a special teams player, though, all said and done. Still a solid player, though. He did play okay on offense when they gave him the opportunities, but they really didn't give him a lot of opportunities. And during the 2015 season, he gets suspended for a PED violation, and he actually ends up getting shot while with family over in Miami. And that effectively ended his career because he got placed on the non-football injury list. But he, he couldn't recover from it. He didn't get back to it, and he retires during the 2016 season. So the 198th pick, which was acquired from the Falcons, ends up getting packaged along with the 184th pick to the Houston Texans in exchange for the 160th pick. So the Rams traded up to 160 to select running back Zach Stacy. Stacy really had one good season. That was his rookie year. He played very well. And his second year he did okay, but he ends up seeing his role reduced drastically during his second year. So he demands a trade. He ends up going to the Jets. They got basically nothing in return for him. They got a 2015 7th rounder for him, which they used on linebacker Bryce Hagan. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail about Bryce Hagan. He hung around the Rams for 5 years. Solid special teams player, but nothing more. So the Rams won that trade. Then we get to the 184th pick, which was packaged with the 233rd pick in exchange for the 176th pick with the Oakland Raiders. So at this point, the Texans have 198 and 176. And with 176, the Texans selected offensive tackle David Quessenberry. So we'll get to 176 in a second because it's a little messy how they got that pick. But Quessenberry was a solid offensive tackle in college, But he ends up, his rookie season, he gets hurt early on, a foot injury. He plays like 1 or 2 games. And then during his second season, he ended up finding out that he has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I do apologize for that. And he ends up missing 3 seasons for that. So he comes back. He's fully healthy, everything like that. Thank goodness. And, you know, he doesn't do much for the Texans. All said and done, he ends up going on the practice squad for 2017. And then 2018, he ends up leaving the team. They cut him. But it was just an interesting story. You know, I completely forgot about Quessenberry until I was doing this trade review again. With the 198th pick, the Texans selected defensive tackle Chris Jones. He's irrelevant. He did not make the team. Now, with the 184th pick, the Oakland Raiders selected tight end Michael Rivera. Now, you might remember Michael Rivera. He was a solid tight end for the team. Nothing great. He never developed all that much. But again, at 184, good value. He hung around the team for 4 seasons before going away and going to Jacksonville. With the 233rd pick, the Raiders would select defensive end David Bass. Again, didn't make the team, irrelevant pick. Now I get to pick 176. So the 176th pick was acquired along with a 2014 conditional 7th round pick from the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for Carson Palmer. Now, Carson Palmer was a very good pickup for the Cardinals. He fell out of favor in Oakland, so they had to get rid of him at this point. And he ends up leading the Cardinals for 5 seasons, and he suffers a couple injuries in 2 or 3 of those seasons, but the seasons he was healthy, he was good. He led them on a deep run during the 2015 season. They looked really good. 2016, he looked good. 2013 even, they looked pretty good. So, solid pickup for the Cardinals. So the Cardinals had actually acquired the 176th pick from the Minnesota Vikings in exchange for pick number 213 and cornerback A.J. Jefferson, who goes by a different name now of Anthony Orange. Anthony Orange, A.J. Jefferson, he didn't do anything. He ends up hanging on the Vikings for about 1.5 years, but he ends up getting cut from the team because of a domestic violence situation. I don't want to get into details on that one. Yeah, the 213th pick, Minnesota selected linebacker Michael Mate, and he was a solid player. He was mostly a special team player for the Vikings, though. Nothing really happened of him. He spent 2 years on the team. So Minnesota had acquired pick 176 from the Tennessee Titans in exchange for the 211th overall pick in 2012. So basically, they traded their 7th round pick in 2012 for the Titans' 6th round pick in 2013. That happens a lot. And when the 211th pick in 2012, the Titans had selected defensive end Scott Solomon. And Scott Solomon spent 1 season on the team. Nothing really came of him after that. He didn't do too much on the team. So Tennessee had acquired pick 211 in the Trent Richardson trade, which will be another video. That's a loophole in and of itself. I actually had wanted to do the Trent Richardson trade in another video, and then once I saw that this trade was connected to that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, no thank you. So Trent Richardson will be another video. Trust me, that will be another fun one. So that's it for the 2013 draft. We're all over the place at this point. But now we get to 2014, and thankfully the Rams stood still here. The Redskins completely fell apart in 2013. So the Rams end up getting the 2nd overall pick again because they had the 2014 first round pick. So with the 2nd overall pick, they would select offensive tackle Greg Robinson. And Robinson, you know, was a bust, frankly, for the team. He underachieved. He spent 3 seasons on the team. And he ends up getting traded to the Cleveland Browns after 3 seasons for a 6th round pick. That 6th round pick didn't turn into much of anything either, but it goes to show you that, you know, a surefire pick didn't really happen. So the Carson Palmer trade, like I had mentioned, there was a conditional 7th round pick. That condition was met as Palmer started enough games. So Oakland got the 235th overall pick, and with that pick, they would select defensive end Shelby Harris. And Shelby Harris, he bounced on and off the practice squad for 2 seasons. That was it for him. But yeah, so that is the RG3 trade. All said and done. Again, excluding the Trent Richardson aspect of the trade, we will get to that at another point. So basically, I have more notes here, and this is just everybody, how they did on their teams. And you can see a huge selection by my thumb here. That's the Rams. They went with quantity over quality, you could say. Everybody else, all these teams involved, it's crazy to know that teams like the Patriots were involved in the RG3 trade all said and done, because remember, Greg Salas. But it's just insane to me that all of this came out of the RG3 trade. So, this was a fun little breakdown. If this is something you guys are interested in, I definitely would love to do this as a series from here on out. I might try to do a couple videos of it and just see how it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today, though. It took a bit of time to research, and I wanted to make sure everything was right. And again, I will discuss Trent Richardson soon. I do promise that. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This is Eric out.